If you've spent like any amount of time scrolling through a social media feed recently, or looking at wellness blogs, or even just glancing at the art hanging in a corporate break room, you almost certainly seen this one very specific type of quote.
Oh, definitely. It's usually written in this beautiful, flowing, cursive font, right?
Yes, exactly. Maybe plastered over a picture of a misty mountain peak or like a perfectly serene cup of coffee. And the quote goes something like this: everyone and everything that comes into your life is there to help you succeed.
Right, which, I mean, it functions as the ultimate comfort blanket for the modern age. We see it everywhere because it addresses this very deep, fundamental human fear of chaos.
That is the perfect way to describe the appeal, honestly. Because when you read that quote, it sounds incredibly reassuring. It acts as a sort of cosmic safety net.
It really does. It whispers to you that you don't need to worry because even the terrible things you're going through right now, they have a purpose.
Yeah. And even the most difficult people you've ever had the misfortune of dealing with, they are all just secret stepping stones on your personal path to greatness.
Okay, let's unpack this because on the surface, that is a beautiful thought.
It really is. I mean, it frames the entire universe as a machine that is completely dedicated to your personal advancement. And if you accept that premise, it means nothing is ever truly senseless.
Right. Every heartbreak, every failure, every toxic boss, they all suddenly have this profound hidden purpose. But our mission for today's deep dive is to look at a very sharp, very provocative 2023 essay by a writer named Zhuofeng, with translation edited by Kinyu.
Yes, and this text takes an absolute sledgehammer to that entire comforting internet mantra.
It totally does. We're going to dissect the core idea of that, quote, strip away the layers of toxic positivity and try to understand if this ubiquitous viewpoint is actually grounded in reality or if it is, deeply fundamentally flawed. Because when you stop to think about it, stating that absolutely everything is there to help you succeed is a massive philosophical claim to make about the nature of human
For
existence.
sure. I mean, when I first read the quote in isolation, part of me desperately wanted to believe it. It gives a convenient meaning to our pain, right?
Oh, absolutely. It makes us feel like the main character in a novel where every frustrating plot twist is just setting up our ultimate victory.
Exactly. But Suffing's essay asks a very simple, highly disruptive question. Is it actually true?
And to get to the bottom of that, Soothing demands that we start by defining our terms because the word success is incredibly slippery.
Yeah, it really is. What does that even mean, right?
Exactly. Before we can evaluate if an event or a person helps you succeed, we have to rigidly define what success actually means in the context of a human life.
The essay makes a distinction right out of the gate that I found really compelling. It asks us to separate a mere outcome from an actual achievement.
Right, so Swiffing argues that if we interpret the word succeed to simply mean reaching an end state like literally any end state at all, then yes, the internet quote is technically true.
And the author uses a really striking set of extremes to illustrate this, don't they?
They do. They point out that if succeed means helping oneself become a pig, or on the entirely opposite end of the spectrum, helping oneself become a celestial being, then sure, every single factor in your life contributes to pushing you toward that final destination.
So if success just means arriving wherever you happen to end up, then every step you took got you there. I mean, if you end up in a literal pigsty, the terrible decisions and toxic people along the way certainly helped you achieve that outcome.
Yeah, but that is not what people mean when they share those misty mountain pictures.
No, definitely not.
When internet culture uses the word succeed, they're talking about positive achievements. They mean emotional growth, financial stability, happiness, or self-actualization.
Right.
And Swefeng argues that if we define success as positive achievement, the entire premise of the quote collapses.
Totally. And to illustrate how we are actually shaped by the things we encounter, Sifeng introduces an analogy that is profoundly simple. It's the meal analogy.
Oh, I love this part.
Yeah, the author says, consider asking a fully grown adult a very basic question. Which meal helped you grow up?
And the only logical answer to that question is that every single meal since birth has played a role.
Exactly. You can't single out a specific bowl of oatmeal you ate on a Tuesday when you were 9 years old and claim that was the defining meal that made you an adult.
Right, it's the cumulative aggregate total of every single thing you have ever consumed.
And that biological reality perfectly mirrors our psychological development. Scheffing scales this analogy up to the human lifespan, asking us to look at a 70-year-old person.
Which is such a great way to frame it.
It is. How does their character develop? How do their temperament, their physical appearance, their worldview, and their spiritual realm form over the course of 7 decades?
Following the exact logic of the meal analogy, the answer is that they're formed by every person and event that ever entered their life.
Every single encounter contributes to their psychological growth, just as every calorie contributes to their physical growth.
Yeah.
But I do struggle with this a bit, though.
Oh, how so?
Well, if we lean into this idea that every experience is a meal, we have to acknowledge that not all food is nutritious. Like if I eat fast food every single day, I am not building a stronger, healthier body. I am actively degrading it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and I mean, some meals give you food poisoning.
Well, what's fascinating here is that you've hit on the exact realization the essay is driving toward. By establishing that every person and event is an input. A meal shuefen completely neutralizes the concept of influence.
Oh, wow. Neutralizes it how?
Well, we have this tendency to romanticize the things that happen to us as if the universe is this, like Michelin star chef carefully curating a tasting menu specifically for our betterment.
Right, the secret stepping stones we talked about.
Exactly. But the essay strips all of that romanticism away. Influence is just an input. It is entirely neutral.
So it's just raw data going into the system.
Precisely. The internet, quote, assumes that all inputs are inherently nutritious, that the universe only feeds you things that will make you stronger.
But that's just not true.
No, it's not. Shuifeng argues that inputs are simply inputs. Some nourish you and some poison you. They all shape you, undoubtedly, but they do not all push you toward a positive achievement.
We are shaped by everything, but we are not helped by everything. Wow. That fundamentally changes the framing of our past experiences.
It really does. And once that baseline is established, the essay forces us to apply this logic to the darkest, most negative outcomes imaginable.
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting. Because Schurfeng stress tests the success, quote, against extreme scenarios to see if it can hold up.
Right. For instance, the text asks, how is a rogue created?
Or a rogue, a scoundrel, someone who actively harms society. I mean, they don't just drop out of the sky fully formed.
No. A rogue is the cumulative result of every person and event that entered their life. The hostile environment, the traumas they endured, the people who enabled their bad behavior, all of these inputs successfully shaped them into a rogue.
And Krefeng takes this even further into the realm of the spiritual and the visceral. The essay asks how someone reincarnates as a pig, tying back to that earlier extreme, noting it's the people and events in their life that contribute to it.
It's a jarring image.
It is. And then the author brings up people dying from anger. The text literally asks, we've all heard of people dying from anger, who anger them to death.
And the answer is, naturally, the people and events that came into their life. Let's look at the mechanics of why the author uses such a jarring example.
Yeah, let's.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, by bringing up someone who is literally driven to an early grave by the constant agonizing stress caused by the people around them, Schurfeng is challenging the reader's cognitive dissonance.
Right, because if a person suffers a fatal heart attack because of relentless emotional abuse, can anyone seriously claim those abusers showed up in their life to help them succeed?
It feels completely absurd when you put it in those terms.
It really does. You can't look at someone who was driven to a physical breaking point by stress and claim that the universe was just giving them a difficult lesson. It is incredibly dismissive of real harm.
And the author delivers the ultimate rebuttal right after that. It is the most stark example in the entire essay.
Oh, the fire example.
Yes, Su Feng writes, if a fire burns someone into a vegetative state, do you believe that fire came to help them succeed?
God, imagine walking into a hospital room, standing over a victim of a horrific fire who is now in a vegetative state, and reading them that beautiful cursive quote from the internet.
It would be awful.
Everyone and everything that comes into your life is there to help you succeed. It's not just wrong. It borders on grotesque.
It requires a massive amount of denial to maintain that level of toxic positivity in the face of actual tragedy.
So why do people say things like that to trauma victims?
Usually it's because the person speaking cannot handle the senselessness of the tragedy. We force a narrative of growth onto someone else's trauma to protect our own worldview, you know?
To reassure ourselves that bad things don't just happen for no reason.
Exactly.
So we use the quote to comfort ourselves, not the victim.
Right. And by using these visceral examples, a vegetative state, a fatal rage, Schurfeng proves that pain is not always a secret stepping stone to success.
Sometimes a tragedy is just a tragedy.
Yes. It doesn't teach you a beautiful lesson, it just causes irreparable damage.
The argument is completely dismantled at that point. But, these extreme examples of fires and vegetative states can feel a little distant from our daily lives.
For sure, they're extreme by design.
Yeah, and what I appreciate about Swifeng's essay is that it doesn't stay in the realm of catastrophic tragedy. The text grounds the argument in a highly relatable scenario that really highlights how insidious this quote can be in our everyday routines.
Right, the essay transitions into a thought experiment about a very specific, very common type of person, the chronic complainer.
An energy vampire.
Exactly, an energy vampire.
The author asks you to imagine someone coming into your life who is constantly throwing tantrums and bombarding you with specific negative phrases.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It really is. I'm going to read the exact phrases Wei-Feng uses because the weight of them is important. Imagine someone standing next to you day after day repeating, "Life is unbearable. Living is pointless. Life is suffering. It's better to be dead."
It is just a relentless barrage of nihilism and despair.
And it doesn't stop at general complaining. The text adds personal attacks. Imagine the same person telling you, "You're so ugly," or "You always mess things up," or "You're such a cruel person."
So it shifts from a generalized grievance about the world into a targeted assassination of your self-esteem.
Which is brutal. Swifting asks the reader directly, if you had this person doing this to you, would you still be in a good mood? Are they really there to help you succeed?
And we really need to unpack the actual psychological mechanics of what happens when you're subjected to this. It's not just about having a bad afternoon.
No, not at all.
If we think back to the 70-year-old from the meal analogy, how does a lifetime of these negative inputs rewire a person?
It has to do real damage over time.
It does. Repeated exposure to this kind of negativity actually alters your psychological baseline. It lowers your self-worth.
And it creates chronic stress.
Exactly, which we know has profound physical and neurological impacts.
Because the brain adapts to the environment it is in. If the environment is constantly telling you that life is pointless and you are ugly, your brain starts to wire itself to accept those statements as reality.
Right. And the toxic positivity crowd would argue that dealing with this difficult person is a form of, like, spiritual resistance training.
Yes, they'd say, you are supposed to find the hidden blessing in being told you are useless every day.
Right. Maybe it's teaching you patience or inner strength. But Weifeng is arguing that there is no hidden blessing.
Thank goodness.
This person isn't teaching you a lesson. They are just draining your spirit. They are actively degrading your psychological ecosystem.
It goes right back to the spoiled food analogy. You aren't building an immunity to spoiled food by eating it every day. You are just slowly poisoning your body.
That's a perfect way to put it.
The input of "you always mess things up" is not a nutritional building block for a healthy character. It is a toxin.
And this is where Shuefeng replaces the broken internet mantra with a new, highly specific framework. Having proven that not everything helps us succeed, the essay draws a very unambiguous line about what actually does matter.
So what does this all mean?
Well, the essay concludes that only a very specific category of people and events are there to help you succeed.
Yes, the author characterizes them as being true, kind, beautiful, loving, faithful, and sincere.
Those are the genuinely nutritious meals.
I love that.
Those are the inputs that build a resilient, healthy 70-year-old character.
If the input is true, kind, beautiful, loving, faithful, and sincere, then it is helping you succeed. But conversely, Sufeng writes that if the people and events in your life are false, evil, ugly, hateful, deceitful, or hypocritical, they are emphatically not helping you succeed.
And the text uses an incredibly evocative phrase here. It says they're dragging you into hell.
Dragging you into hell. Wow. That completely upends the passivity of the original quote.
This raises an important question about personal boundaries, because for years, that popular internet mantra has essentially asked people to be passive recipients of their circumstances.
Right. If you believe everything is secretly helping you, then you don't need to fight back against bad treatment.
Exactly. You just accept the deceitful partner, the hypocritical boss, or the hateful friend, because you assume the universe placed them there for your ultimate benefit.
It provides an excuse to just grin and bear it, to tolerate the intolerable.
Yes. But Shuefeng's conclusion gives you permission to reject things.
It really does. It gives you permission to look at an event or a person and recognize that they are not a stepping stone to your success. They are an anchor dragging you down, and you have the right to cut the rope.
It demands that we become active curators of our own lives. We have to seek out the true, the kind, and the beautiful, and fiercely protect our psychological boundaries against the false, the hateful, and the deceitful.
Which is so much harder than just accepting whatever comes your way.
Oh, absolutely. It requires critical thinking instead of blind acceptance. In a world overflowing with easily digestible, aesthetically pleasing misinformation, the ability to categorize the energies in your life is an absolutely essential survival skill.
It is a profoundly more empowering philosophy. The original quote might sound nice on the surface, but it ultimately makes you a victim to whatever circumstances you happen to fall into.
Right. Swiffin's philosophy demands that you take the wheel and actively navigate away from the things that are harming you.
It removes the illusion that the universe will do the hard work of curating your life for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to do the work.
Well, let's look at the journey we've been on with this text today. We took a seemingly harmless, incredibly popular piece of internet wisdom. Everyone and everything that comes into your life is there to help you succeed. And we ran it through Sussman's analytical framework.
And we looked at the critical semantic difference between merely reaching an outcome and actually achieving something positive.
Right, we explored the biological reality of the meal analogy, recognizing that while every single experience feeds our development over a 70-year lifespan, not every experience is nutritious.
We stress-tested the quote against extreme tragedy, examining the horrific reality of the fire and the vegetative state, which proved that forcing a narrative of growth onto senseless trauma is often just a defense mechanism.
Yeah, to protect ourselves from the chaos of reality.
Exactly. And we faced the everyday reality of the energy vampire. We unpacked the psychological mechanics of how chronic complainers and personal attacks don't build character.
They just cause chronic stress and fundamentally rewire our self-worth for the worse. Until finally, we arrived at that stark, empowering truth.
That only the true, kind, and beautiful inputs lift us up.
And the false and the ugly inputs just drag us down. It completely reframes how we should view our daily interactions and the boundaries we set.
Recognizing the difference between what nourishes you and what poisons you is the foundational step to actual positive achievement.
As you're listening to this, take a moment to audit your own life. Look at the people and the events surrounding you today or this past week. Which of Yufeng's two categories do they fall into?
Are they the kind and sincere forces building you up, or are they the hypocritical and deceitful forces actively draining your spirit?
Because you do not have to accept the drain as a necessary part of your journey.
No, you really don't.
To wrapping our deep dive today, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over, building on the incredible imagery from this essay.
What is it?
If our character at 70 years old is truly the sum total of every person and event we have ever encountered, just like our bodies are the sum total of every meal we have ever eaten, how much power do you actually have right now to refuse a toxic meal before it permanently becomes a part of who you are?